Hello everybody, my name is Stefano Fagnani aka Stev, and today I'm here for an overall view of K-Device's HEXO. So before we get started, we must note that HEXO is a Max for Live device, so it needs Ableton Live and Max for Live to work. If you're using Live version 10 or above, you'll find it already integrated in the DAW, otherwise you must download it from Ableton's website. So HEXO is a device capable of creating harmonic, melodic and beating contents. It is based on 6 tracks, where each one can generate streams of MIDI notes from a sequencer that may work from 2 to 32 steps independently. For each step of each track, you have control over the event on, its velocity, its length, and you can also decrease its chance to be generated. Each track has exclusive tools for advanced editing, such as time resolution, a smart randomization and a back to default button, a function to rotate the sequence, global parameter of length and velocity, sequence bending and a delay. It is also possible to store up to 4 snapshots and modulate between these to alternate riffs on the fly. And there's also the auto snap function that can be used to variate between these snapshots with the probability amounts you want. So all of these features make HEXO truly helpful to generate original riffs starting from the same idea according to the user's preferences. So being a MIDI device, HEXO works with any instrument. Each track can be set to work with a specific note or interval, and it's also possible to map these with an external keyboard on the fly. Within the release of HEXO, K-Devices featured a pack I designed with a couple of instruments and many presets called Immersive One for the users to start playing with it right after the purchase. I'm going to use the instrument rack Immersive Pluck as my sound source and the Forest preset for this brief video. So let's take a closer look. In the upper part of the device, we have the default button, which resets all the device parameters to default settings. We have the mode button that allows us to choose between ARP and Riff, some MIDI functions, retrig and through, the random section that allows us to set minimal and maximal random values for the selected parameter, and then we have the snapshots and the auto snaps sections. Right below we can choose the key input settings to set MIDI notes or interval with incoming MIDI note messages, essentially allowing us to gradually replace up to 6 simultaneous values of our notes or interval with a MIDI clip or keyboard or any kind of other MIDI note input. I'm going to demonstrate this quickly with an external MIDI keyboard. Then we have the instant mute button to silence all of the tracks at once. The edit part, where we can select which parameter for us to edit in the grid. And then we have the random all and the default all buttons to apply randomization or reset the selected parameter in all the tracks at once. Below that there's the sequencer, and if we take a closer look we can clearly see that all of the 6 tracks are identical, but they can be operated independently. On each track, from left to right, we'll find the note interval indicator, which changes in relationship to the mode we are currently in, showing the intervals in the ARP mode and the notes value in the Riff mode. Then we have the mute button to activate or deactivate the relative track, the grid where we can edit the selected parameter, a local random and local default buttons, both relative to the parameter selected at the moment, the number of steps of the track, the time resolution and its kind, so we have normal, triplets and dotted, an offset button to rotate to left all the step values, track delay, velocity and length scale values, which allows us to scale the respective parameter value in the whole track. And the bend amount, which changes the playhead movement from linear to logarithmic or exponential. So in Riff mode, HEXO acts as a complex polyphonic step sequencer. This is the mode we have been listening to until this point. This means you can set note values for each track and sequence them. You can also enable the through function to play along with HEXO, adding your live incoming notes to the pattern. Again, using the MIDI keyboard to demonstrate. So when in ARP mode, HEXO acts like an arpeggiator, building the pattern on the top of live incoming notes, essentially sequencing notes intervals like you can see here. You can feed HEXO by firing MIDI clips or just playing live. Or again using the MIDI keyboard. You can also enable the retrig function and the reset sequences for each new incoming note. Otherwise, the pattern is gonna stay in sync with your transport. once we have a set of values we like, we can store them by clicking on the snapshot block, holding the shift button on the keyboard and clicking on the block we wish to save our configuration in. And we can record them whenever we want just by clicking on it again. You can change something. And saving it again. And recording it. When we have more than one snapshot, we can also automate the changes between them by using the AutoSnaps function. This acts according to these numbers on its right. That allows us to set the interval between two AutoSnaps trigger and its respective time resolution. We can then set the chance for each AutoSnap to be triggered when this mode is enabled. This means that a greater chance value equals a bigger probability that the corresponding snapshot is gonna be recalled. Also, by using the number near the snapshots blocks, we can use the mapping to move between our blocks using a controller or automations. I'm moving a knob on my controller right now. So, as you can see, HEXO is a device pretty simple to understand, yet complex in its outcome. It's able to quickly bring a basic idea to a more interesting stage with a really enjoyable workflow. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.